Hello, this is John Marling, Pulse Research. Welcome to our webinar this morning, the best of the best practices. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be part of the webinar this morning. What we're going to go over is some of the exciting results from a sales blitz that Pulse Research did in early February. And what the major takeaway from it was is, yes, you can. The results exceeded anybody's expectation in terms of the number of sales made during that blitz, the number of car dealers sold, number of realtors sold, and for even individual papers, they sold far more than they ever thought they could. And I'm really proud and excited to share with you this morning some of the best practices, some actionable ideas for you in real estate, in automotive, and getting appointments, etc., that were collectively learned from the North American Sales Contest. And by the way, it was so successful, everybody said, let's do it again. So we're going to be doing another great North American Sales Blitz starting on May 15th through May 30th, and we'll be getting out information to you on that shortly. So let's take a look at some of the best practices, some of the things that we learned from the webinars, from the participants in the North American Sales Contest. First of all, if you have any questions or comments as we go through the program, give me an email, marling@paper.net. That's marling@paper.net. And I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions about the best practices that we're going to go over this morning. First best practice, how to get appointments. As we all know, it's getting more and more difficult to get appointments with those businesses. Why? Because on the average, they're being contacted by 40 to 60 different media representatives each week. What would you become very good at if you had that number of interruptions each week? That's frankly, more than one per hour. You become very good at saying no. And the way to get their attention is to relate to their business, to make sure that they understand that you have information about the opportunities, ideas, and solutions for their business. And the way to do that is in your ad seller program, you have teasers. And what a teaser is, it's information about what you can deliver in opportunities for their business in potential customers and revenue. Little short story about how the teasers came about. I was doing a four-legged sales call down in Palm Beach, Florida, and we walked in for a 1 o'clock appointment. And guess what? The lady at the desk said, "Well, I'm sorry, Joe's not here." And the ad rep kind of nudged me, and she said, "Well, Joe's car's out in the parking lot." And the lady at the desk said, "Well, give me your business card. I'm sure I'll find time to give it to him, etc." You know the story. Anyways, what I said to the ad rep was, "Wait a second, give me your business card." And on the business card, on the back, I wrote, "How would you like to get in touch with over 2,137 local households who plan to change or get a new fitness center in the next 12 months?" And I handed her the card. Guess what? Within 1 hour, the gentleman called back and said, "When can we get together?" What I learned from that is businesses are extremely interested when they know you have information about and for their business. So in the teaser program, and you see an example of it here on your screen, for over 660 business categories, when you click on the teaser link in the prospecting tool or in the setup, you will be given the talking points that relate to that business category. So in this case, furniture store. How would you like to connect with over 18,900 households? You're going to spend $17 million on the furniture. That gets their attention. I've had many ad reps tell me it's a great way to break the ice. It's a great way to get their attention. Many times when I've been out in the field and we've been setting up appointments and making cold calls, the businesses said, "Stop. How soon can you come over?" Many ad reps have called me and said that it's incredible. They've got appointments with car dealers and other businesses that they have never been able to get an appointment with. Here's our best practice suggestion. 3 teaser presentations by 9 a.m. each day. That will get you ample number of appointments. So in summary, best practice number 1, Getting appointments, the teaser program. It relates to their business. It breaks the ice. It gives you what to say after you say hello. And our suggestion is 3 by 9, 3 teasers by 9 a.m. each day. Okay, next category in best practices for you this morning, real estate. We had an ad rep who frankly won the contest, a $5,000 top prize in North America. And he was an inside ad rep, but he focused on real estate. And here's some of his best practices and ideas, how he connected with over 500 agents. And I found that remarkable, so I called him myself, and Brian Knapp also talked to him, and we had a webinar just on the real estate best practices. And by the way, in your help tab, in your ad seller program, is a link to the videos, and each one of the 6 best practice individual webinars, the recording is there for. So you can go into the detail in this instance on the real estate best practices. But here's a summary. Is number 1, real estate is a significant opportunity. Fact. Well, the over 600 business categories, the number 1 business category sold across the ad seller network is realtors. Number 1 sold. Why? Because the realtors are looking for a way to brand and differentiate themselves from all the other agents. Everybody is on Zillow. All the agents are on Trulia, MLS, et cetera, et cetera. One agent told me, in fact, they were on 182 sites. It's almost unbelievable. But there's such fragmentation with all those sites. What the realtors are looking for is a way to brand themselves, not sell their homes per se, but brand themselves to get new listings. That's what it's all about. Agents want listings. The way the agent who won the contest and got over 500 connections with agents is number 1, he sent out an email literally to hundreds of agents. Okay, he got appointments to go into their weekly meetings, and how he got their attention was he showed with a 1-page presentation the extreme fragmentation of all the real estate site, Trulia, Zillow, the MLS site, the agent site, the broker site, etc. There is significant number of choices for people to find real estate. And what that means is they're looking for a solution, which is the local newspaper print, to differentiate themselves with a consistent campaign. So that's best practice in real estate. Now let's take a look at automotive. One of the ladies who was very, very successful, look at this. She sold 11 car dealers in the 10 days of the Great American Sales Blitz in February. And by the way, the number 2 category sold in over 600 business categories in your ad seller program is car dealers, new car dealers. And the reason for that is because the car business is obviously very, very competitive. And they're also looking for solutions. In fact, I had a car dealer tell me when I was out on a 4-legged sales call, this information is great. I have been managing my dealership looking in the rearview mirror. He said, this information that you've given me today in the 1-page presentation gives me the opportunity to look out the windshield and see what I don't know that I should know. Isn't that a profound statement? What I don't know that I should know. And that's the power of the information, in your ad seller program it's information about and for their business. I had a Ford dealer tell me once when we walked in on a 4-legged sales call, well, print is dead. I've been told by Ford digital only. And what I asked him is would you reconsider advertising in the local paper if I can show you that this local paper has buyers that you're missing with your digital program? And guess what he said? Yeah, of course. Every business is looking for additional business they're missing, fear of missing out. Extremely powerful and motivating. And once again, like with the real estate, the number of automotive sites that a person can go to when they're looking for a vehicle is significant. And therefore, once again, there's huge fragmentation. And so the secret to selling car dealers today is show them what they're missing with their digital offerings, their Facebook page, their own automotive site, the dealer's site, cars.com, and Auto Trader. When they realize how fragmented it is and the significant percentage of your audience who are going to buy cars that they're missing, like with Auto Trader, you got their attention and you're going to get their business. That's the best practice in the way to get more automotive business. Okay, next best practice. Let's talk about the total team. As I mentioned a moment ago in the North American Sales Contest in February, look at that. A paper with 21,000 circulation, 8 ad reps. They sold over $800,000 in just 2 weeks. How did they do it? They went out and they made the presentations. Look at that. They presented over 1,200 presentations, but they sold 187. I think you're all familiar with the Babe Ruth story. He was not only the home run king, right? But he also was the strikeout king. He swung. He was willing to take that chance. And so what this paper did is they went out there and they made the presentations. They just did it like, Nike said. In fact, one of the ad reps, in talking to them on how they did it, and look at that, they did over 15 presentations per day on the average each, is he was worried about the police being suspicious because he would park his car. He would do the evening before his presentations, print them up, and then he would park his car and he would literally go door to door with the businesses, walking with a one page with, once again, and this is the secret, it's information about and for their business. They care. And on the one page on the top is essentially the teaser information, the number of opportunities, new customers for their business category, like a hardware store, the total spending of your audience for a hardware store. And that's when he walked in and he started talking about, hey, I've got good news. I thought you might be interested to know that we've got over 10,000 households who are going to shop at a hardware store, for instance. They're going to spend this much money and only 1% share is, oh my gosh, additional $50,000. And so the best practice relating to this team sales is they had a plan and they put together a targeted, specific plan on both the geographic area they were going to call, but also the categories they were going to call. They put together, by the way, presentations for every financial planner in their community. And they went out there and made the calls. The one ad rep who was worried about getting arrested, he put together presentations for every single business in a strip center. And he parked his car and he literally went door to door. So the best practice, like Babe Ruth, is make the presentations. You're going to sell a significant number of them. They had a plan. They worked their plan. That's the best practice on. And yes, you can very quickly get significant additional business. Okay, next best practice, inside sales teams. There was one of the sales teams that inside members that got over 100 leads in 10 days. How did they do it? They targeted a specific industry, like retirement homes. I spelled retirement wrong. But they used the teasers, in their words, to start the relationship. So over the phone, they would call them up and they would talk about the number of opportunities that they could provide for a retirement home and the potential spending once again. And they made the calls. On the average, they made 20 calls per hour, over 75 per day. And they used the teasers to break through, and then live in real time with the one-page presentation, they were able to engage with that business. Once again, it's pretty simple. It's information about and for their business that they're interested in. And so the best practice that they suggest is focus on a specific industry. They focused on retirement homes, and they put together consecutive pages in the paper with information, news about retirement homes, and retirement advertising. And by the way, once again, there was fear of missing out because they had limited number of spots available on their industry pages. And so there was a little bit of, oh my gosh, I don't want to be left out and have my competitors get this business, because the ad team, the inside people, talked not about their publication, circulation, special rates, etc. They talked about the opportunities that they could deliver for the business category. And that's the best practice for inside sales teams. Okay, now how do you close sales? We had one ad rep who closed over 75 businesses in just 2 weeks. How did she do it? Well, first of all, like we've been talking about and sharing the best practices, it's relating to the business, information about and for their business, but finding solutions in the business they're not even aware of. I was making a presentation to a furniture store, and I was going over the information in the one-page presentation about the opportunity, the spending of that paper's audience for, and the number of households who are going to buy living room furniture, bedroom furniture, dining room furniture, etc. And I asked the business, where can you get more? You know what you sold? He says, oh my gosh, I can sell more rugs. And he was all excited and motivated. Why? Because we had found a solution for him. Okay? But then, and here's the secret to closing these sales, you get their attention, finding solutions, engaging with the business, but then let's make it comfortable, work with them in terms of the number of customers they need to pay for the campaign. I was making a presentation down in Arizona to a dry cleaner first thing in the morning. We walked in and she immediately said, I'm not going to sign the contract. And I couldn't think of anything more clever to say than, well, why not? And she said, I'm petrified. And I said, well, let's work together to find out what's comfortable for you. She said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, if you needed 520 new dry cleaning customers over the next 52 weeks, probably pretty scary. She said, yeah, absolutely. But I said, what if you only needed 12 new customers over the next 52 weeks? In other words, one a month to pay for the campaign. Would that be comfortable? She said, yeah, of course. And so we worked together to find out what's comfortable for her, and it works. The one-page presentation, and by the way, the mobile presentation that you can do on a tablet or a smartphone, you can engage the business and with them in identifying what their average customer is worth, what their average gross profit is. And by the way, we use 50% just as a talking point. Get them engaged. What's your average gross profit? But with them figuring out what the average customer is worth, then we can figure out with them how few customers they need to pay for the campaign. And because it's their number, what they're comfortable with, guess what? You just made a sale. And so best practice on closing the business is find a solution for them with the information in your one-page presentation, like, oh my gosh, I can get more rugs, or oh my gosh, I can get more cruises, and then work with them so that they are comfortable with the number of customers they need to pay for the campaign. And then of course show them, how few additional customers they need for a heck of a great return, on their advertising campaign. So that's the best practice on closing sales. Now, let's kind of summarize, if I might. By the way, I've made over 1,500 four-legged sales calls in the last couple of years. Number one is make sure the business understands its information about and for their business. That's what they care about. That's what motivates them. But show them what they're missing. Show them the opportunity, but also show them what they're missing, like with Auto Trader, with the car dealers. Show them what they're missing, like with the realtors, with Zillow, that you can provide them. And also show them, like the inside salespeople did, when they're putting together a retirement consecutive pages, there's a limited number of opportunities. Fear of missing out. They don't want their competitors to get the advantage. Also want to chat just a minute about, we have coming up on May 15th, the next Great North American Sales Blitz. It's a phenomenal opportunity to have some fun, get a little competition, and getting some phenomenal results for the paper and for, your individual reps. We also, by the way, are launching a new reporting program that you're going to find much easier. It's going to be far more mobile functional. And here's some other good news from Pulse. For those of you who have the Metro Creative Graphics program, their ad wizard, we're going to be partnering with Metro Creative Graphics. And embedded right into your one-page mobile presentation, you'll be able to put in a spec layout, and with the advertiser, you'll be able to click and access your Metro Graphics Ad Wizard program to be able to show that advertiser a specific ideas, a campaign. And that, as you know, will be extremely positive in closing the deal, showing them that idea, that suggestion that gets their attention and their commitment. An overall recommendation I have is, and it came from a panel I did in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We had about 30, 40 businesses in a focus group, and we're talking about how do you get the appointment? And they quite simply said, don't talk about you. Tell us you have an idea, a solution to get more business. That's the teaser program, about and for their business. But also say the information is like a crystal ball. It gives you an insight into an opportunity you might know that was there. Like the car dealer saying, gives me the opportunity to look through the windshield. It's what I don't know that I should know. In other words, finding a solution for them. That's what is extremely effective in today's business. I want to thank you very much for taking the time today, to attend our webinar. Once again, if you have any questions or suggestions, marling@paper.net, or for any questions on the ad seller program in general, support@pulseresearch.com. On behalf of Pulse Research, we appreciate your business and will do everything we can to support your success. And strongly encourage you to hop on the upcoming May 15th Great North American Sales Blitz. Thanks again and have a great day.